Okay, the next speaker is Zhangxing Bian. The title is DRIMET, Differentiation for 3D Incompressible Motion Estimation in Tagged-MRI.
Yes, thank you, Chair, for the kind introduction. And hello, everyone. My name is Zhangxing from Johns Hopkins. I'm a second-year PhD student, and I'm very honored to be here to present our work, DRIMET. It stands for Deep Registration for 3D Incompressible Motion Estimation in Tagged-MRI. So a little bit background in the MR tagging. So it's a special MR imaging technique that will magnetize the tissue with a spatially modulated pattern. So when the tissue moves, the tags will move along, so that we can track the motion of the soft tissue. And it has a wide application. For example, decades ago, people use it to track the motion of the cardiac, and also people track the motion of the tongue to study the speech and swallowing functionality. And also people track brain motion to study the traumatic injuries. And in this work, we are particularly interested in tongue. According to American Cancer Society, a lot of people with oral cancer have troubles in swallowing or speaking or even sleeping because their tongues are affected. And from the technical perspective, we think it has a few very interesting points from the engineering perspective. So it moves relatively quick relative to the temporal resolution of the scan. And the motion is aperiodic, so it's different from the heartbeat, from the cardiac motion. And also the tongue is highly deformable during speech because it has a lot of very delicate muscle groups. So in this work, our goal is to track the 3D tongue motion through the image registration framework. So we expect it to be fast and accurate, but also the estimated motion should also be biologically plausible. So by that, I mean it needs to be both diffeomorphic and incompressible. So diffeomorphic, given the transformation field, diffeomorphic means that we can find an invertible transformation. So when we compose those, we end up identity transformation. And also for incompressible, we know the water is incompressible, and a lot of tissue, human tissue like brain, heart, or tongue, which consists of the most part of the water, can also be assumed to be incompressible. So there is one important feature that is the Jacobian determinant of the transformation field is unit everywhere, and we will use that feature later. So since we framed this tracking problem in a registration framework, so there are a lot of registration algorithms out there that people may familiar of. For example, the Xing method from the Ant toolbox, or the iLog daemons, and its extension version called pvira. And those are traditional approaches, and they usually have good accuracy and can achieve diffeomorphic or even incompressible motion estimation, but they usually suffer from the low speed. And more recently, the deep learning registration approach like voxelmorph can achieve very high speed during the inference time and achieve a relatively good performance or even much better performance. But it has trouble in finding the incompressible flow, or at least a missing feature. So we're thinking, so can we do it better? And this is the overview of our method. So take two tagged images at two different time points, and we send it to a pre-processing pipeline and also a deep learning registration method to find our motion phi. So let's first get into the pre-processing part. So with the tagged images, and you'll see there are 3 volumes because we put 3 orientation tags. Because we want to find the 3D motion, we need 3 orientation tags to solve the aperture problem. And the first thing we do is to interpolate or to upsample the image volume to isotropic 3D grade because it has poor through-plane resolution. And then we use an algorithm called HARP. It stands for harmonic phase, which has been widely used in processing Tagged-MRI data. So the benefit of HARP is it can be run very fast, and it's robust to the tag fading. And tag fading is one tricky thing that we do. That's the reason we do not directly register the raw tagged images in registration. Instead, we like the harmonic phase because it's a materials property, which means it will move with the tissue. Then we can take, or the traditional approach will take this harmonic phase image as a proxy in the registration to find the motion. But again, there is a tricky thing called phase interpolation. We know if we want to train a deep learning-based registration algorithm, we need to interpolate the image. And the interpolation, that operation itself needs to be differentiable, like a bilinear interpolation. However, different from interpolated intensity image, phase is kind of a tricky thing because if you want to find the, for example, the value at y0, you need to do, first you need to unwrap the phase image and then do the interpolation. So this unwrapping phase is not quite differentiable. So think of the solution is quite simple actually. It's called sinusoidal transformation. We simply take the phase value and apply the sine and cosine function to generate two corresponding images. So each phase value corresponds to a sine cosine pair. And then we turn this discontinuity in the phase to a continuous pattern. And previously we need unwrap the phase to do interpolation, but now we can directly do the interpolation, for example, bilinear interpolation, and this becomes a differentiable module that is very important in training the registration network. So this is the overall pipeline. So by far we have covered the preprocessing part. And from the preprocessing, we will get 3 sine cosine pairs for fixed and 3 for the moving. And we will concatenate those channel-wisely, send it to a neural network to predict the motion. And that's all it takes during an inference time. But in order to train the network, we need to warp the image. We need to warp the moving image by the deformation field to create a warped image and try to minimize the discrepancy between fixed and warped moving image by minimizing similarity loss. So here we just use MSE as a similarity loss. And also on the deformation field, people will usually apply some regularization to make it smoother, to make it look more realistic. And here we want to focus on this incompressibility loss. So in order to learn this incompressibility, recall that it has a great feature. The Jacobian determinant is unit everywhere. So the general idea is to push it to the push the Jacobian to the unit. It's very straightforward. And here are some details. So we first compute the Jacobian determinant of the transformation field phi at location x. And then we apply a logarithm over the determinant to symmetrically penalize the expansion or contraction. And then we apply, because we use a logarithm, so we use something like a ReLU function to eliminate the negative determinants. And we don't want to apply, and we only want to apply this constraint in our tongue tissue or heart tissue instead of the air gap in oral cavity or the blood. So this first term will push the determinant to unit, and the second term is just to prevent all determinants from being negative, because in the first term we use a ReLU to ignore the negatives. So the overall training objective is just the 3 objectives combined. So here are some details on data we use. So we have 25 Tagged-MRI data, and each case has 26 time frames. And people will speak a Xing, a Shao, a Zhuo repeatedly until the acquisition finished. Interestingly, we have 2 patients that has undergone glossectomy, which are considered as a pathological case. So part of their tongue are removed in the surgery due to the cancer. And those cases are only preserved for testing. So here are some qualitative results. And this shows a 3D model of the tongue. Their tongue tip, tongue dorsal, and the root of tongue. So it's usually larger than people would think of the size of tongue. So in this case, we have a fixed image, which is taken when subjects speak us, so the tongue is in the neutral position. And the moving image is when the subject speaks Xing, in, so the tongue will move backward and downward. And we compare with this iLog or extension called PVIRA, which is famous for its ability to estimate incompressible motion. And we find this, our approach can better align the taglines. And also from the determinants, our determinants are closer to unit, which implies a more incompressible motion estimation. So quantitatively, we also find our approach have a faster speed, which is very important in practice, but with also better accuracy, incompressibility, and the diffeomorphism. And the ablation on the incompressibility loss also shows efficiency. And we also explore the performance when we increase the time gap between the two registered frames. And we see all the method performance degrades, but ours degrades less. And also this, we evaluate on those two pathological cases, and note that our model are only trained with healthy controls. So we can achieve relatively well good generalizability to those pathological cases. Even in the training, we have never seen that. So in conclusion, we propose an unsupervised deep learning motion estimation method on the Tagged-MRI data with two key components. So one is sinusoidal transformation to enable the differentiability, and another is an objective function for learning an incompressible flow. So the take-home message is this can be run fast, and the estimation are accurate, it's 3D dense, and incompressible. But there are some limitations in future work. So you may notice current framework only take a pair of frames, but the nature of Tagged-MRI is a sequential images. So can we incorporate more temporal information in the framework? And also the face and tag images have periodic patterns. So what if the periodicity in the image meets a large motion? Can the unsupervised registration algorithm solve that ambiguity? Yeah, that's a future work. So in the end, I want to thank all the members at IACL, at Hopkins, and also our collaborator at Harvard and MGH and Maryland. And the code is available, and welcome to my poster at M08 for further discussion. Thank you.